Illusory Night and the Prophecy Under Qian and River's Moonlight. In 2002, in a small rural village in Haiphong, when I was just 5 months old, my family began to be enveloped by a series of mysterious spiritual events that, even now, my mother and grandmother still recount with haunted eyes. It began on a clear, moonlit night, around 1 to 2 a.m., when a faint, mournful cry of a child echoed from the backyard, shattering the quiet night. My grandmother, deep in sleep, suddenly awoke with a start. The cry wasn't a cat in heat. It was the heartbreaking wail of a child. Confused and frightened, she rushed to my mother's room, who was still in her confinement period. My father was sleeping in another bed at the time, leaving only my mother and me together. As soon as she entered the room, my grandmother saw that my mother was also awake, her face pale with fear. My mother whispered back to her, "Mom, do you hear a child crying?" "I heard a child crying in the backyard. I'm too scared to sleep." My grandmother nodded, her face also etched with worry. The cry still lingered, hauntingly persistent, but no one in the house dared to venture out to see. Finally, my grandmother had to wake my father. He was only 24 years old then, very young. My father went to watch over so my mother could get some rest, while I, a newborn, was completely oblivious to the events unfolding around me. Calamity looms and omens from the underworld. The next morning, a horrific sight awaited my grandmother. When she went to the barn to prepare feed for the pigs and cows. Back then, my family raised many livestock and poultry. All the cows and chickens in the house were dead. The cows foamed at the mouth, lying motionless, while the chickens were strewn about. My grandmother understood that this was surely a bad omen. Immediately, she called someone to quickly buy the cows, selling them dirt cheap just to salvage some money. On that same day, as if misfortune refused to let go, I developed a high fever and cried inconsolably all day. The weather was bitterly cold, with chilling winds howling, so my parents had no choice but to cycle me to the district hospital. In those days, motorbikes were still a luxury. Only the old bicycle served as the main mode of transportation. My father pedaled diligently, carrying my mother and me through the biting cold, heading towards the medical station. A fateful encounter with the diviner Ba. The next day, my grandmother decided to cross the river by ferry, seeking out the diviner named Ba, a famous figure throughout the region, sought by many for fortune-telling and to become his disciples. That river later became the site of the Qian Bridge. As soon as she reached the diviner's house, before she could even speak, he waved my grandmother in, despite how many people were waiting. He spoke clearly, as if he already knew everything. "Come in, there's a ragged, conical-hatted beggar woman following you from the ferry landing. But she doesn't dare enter my house. Did something unfortunate happen to your family recently?" My grandmother was utterly astonished, recounting all the tragic events that had befallen their home. After listening, Diviner Ba declared, "I see that this month is an unlucky month for your family, and your family's yang energy is very weak. So there are 3 mother and child beggars from 1945 who starved to death, whose remains are still under the pond opposite your house. They are coming in to wreak havoc. Fortunately, your family has a spirit of a child who died young, also in that pond, who is protecting your grandchild, so they haven't been able to harm them, only make them sick." The diviner's words sent a chill down my grandmother's spine, for it perfectly matched a family tragedy. My youngest aunt, born in 1986, had unfortunately fallen into that very pond and drowned when she was only 3 years old. The diviner's words were astonishingly accurate. My grandmother quickly asked the diviner for a ritual to ward off the bad luck, and for instructions on the offerings. The diviner said that he had to personally come to their house for this matter. He instructed my grandmother to prepare the offerings exactly as he wished: a paper pig's head, votive paper money, and a pot of plain porridge. The porridge would be scooped onto 10 banyan leaves, spread on a tray made into a raft so it could float on the water. In addition, there was a ladder made of a banana tree trunk, with a bamboo branch stuck at the top of the ladder. The next morning, Diviner Ba came to the house. He burned a yellow talisman which blazed brightly, and then threw it into the water. After that, he told my grandmother to release the prepared offering tray onto the pond, sticking 3 incense sticks on it. He chanted for a while. Strangely, amidst a windless sky, the bamboo branch stuck on the ladder suddenly swayed violently. About an hour later, the ceremony concluded. Prophecy of the Dragon Eye land and the fate of the hamlet. After the ceremony, Diviner Ba also offered prophecies about the land where my family lived. This hamlet is shaped like a dragon's eye. Your family's land will not be conducive to raising any animals in the future, especially dogs and cats. They cannot be kept for long. No matter how you raise them, they will only live for a short time before they die. And this hamlet will have many young people die young. I don't know which houses, but there will be young people dying within a few years. After finishing his prophecies, the diviner took his leave, not accepting payment but only a little sticky rice and offerings. From then on, for a long time, my family lived peacefully, no longer encountering any strange occurrences. Tragedy fulfills the prophecy. Time passed until 2006, when I was 4 years old. Diviner Ba's prophecy about young people dying young in the hamlet heartbreakingly came true. It was my neighbor, a tall, dashing, handsome young man with a Dan Truong-style fringe haircut, admired by many girls. He was very good at French, preparing to graduate and apply to teach at a high school, with a bright, open future ahead of him. I still remember, just 3 months before that, he had taken a photo of me and his newborn nephew, which I still keep to this day. However, just 3 months after that fateful photo, he was in an accident on his way home from a party with friends. His friend, who was with him, only suffered minor scratches, while he died at the scene. The sudden death of the young neighbor shocked the entire hamlet, and once again, Diviner Ba's prophecy manifested itself clearly and cruelly. This story shows that supernatural events and prophecies sometimes remain a mysterious part of our lives. Would you like to explore the meaning of the details in the story further? Or is there anything else you'd like to share?